Hi guys, welcome to our Sudhir NEET Biology Academy. I am your Dr. Mohan Angappan. Today we will talk about the gland parathyroid. So last video we talked about the thyroid gland, hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism, etc. Today we shall take up four parathyroid glands. Actually they are four in number. Two pairs of parathyroid glands. The parathyroid actually secretes the hormone Parath Hormone. Parath Hormone is the hormone secreted by the parathyroid. That is a peptide hormone. Peptide hormone. What is the function of this hormone? So this parathyroid gland is very important regarding the calcium maintenance. Calcium is very important for our body. We will see what are the things that calcium involves our body mechanism, our body metabolism. See, this hormone, Parath hormone, is a hypercalcemic hormone. Hypercalcemic hormone, that is, it increases the calcium level in our blood. So the first thing, this Parath hormone increases the calcium level in our blood. Number two, it stimulates the process of bone reabsorption, demineralization. So what this Parath hormone does is that it actually removes the minerals from the bone, demineralization, bone reabsorption. So by which the calcium is removed from the bones and this calcium is deposited in the blood. So actually bone is the bank of calcium. So this hormone increases the blood calcium level by demineralization of the bone. What do you mean by that? That stimulates the process of bone reabsorption. The calcium deposits of the bones are removed from the bones, demineralize the bone, by which the calcium comes out and stored in the blood and blood serum calcium level increases. This is a normal thing. It is an hypercalcemic hormone. This hormone also does the function of bicarbonate reabsorption. It reabsorbs bicarbonate from the bloodstream, by which the urine pH is reduced. It also reduces the urine pH. That means acidity of the urine will be more by absorbing the bicarbonate ions. Right. I told you this hormone is a hypercalcemic hormone, increases the blood calcium level. It does it by three means, very important. It acts on bone, it acts on kidney, and it acts on the gut, gastrointestinal tract. So this hormone has an effect on these three: bone, skeletal muscles or skeleton, and number two, kidney, and number three, gut, the gastrointestinal tract. Let us see how. First, let us take up the bone. It stimulates the bone destroying osteoblastic cells. I told you demineralization. So it stimulates the osteoblastic cells. What do you mean by the osteoblastic cells? They are the cells destroy the bone cells. So it stimulates the process of forming the osteoblastic cells which destroy the bone, by which calcium is released in the bone matrix. So by demineralization, by stimulating the bone destroying osteoblastic cells, this hormone does the function of releasing calcium in the bone matrix. Then from the bone matrix, the calcium is added to the blood. calcium from the bone, extra calcium from the bone comes to the bloodstream, by which the plasma calcium increases. It's the first way. So by demineralizing the bones, by inducing the osteoblastic cells to demineralize the bone, the calcium is deposited in the bone matrix, and this calcium comes to the blood and the calcium level increases in blood. It's the first way. Second way, it acts on the kidney. You know the renal tubules. If inside the kidney you have nephrons, renal tubules. From the renal tubules, this Parath hormone absorbs calcium and gives into the bloodstream. The second way. Third, it acts on the gut or gastrointestinal tract. It stimulates the absorption of calcium and phosphate from food. From the gut region, from the intestinal tract region, from the food, this hormone stimulates the absorption of calcium and phosphate from the food. So by these three mechanisms, the blood calcium level increases. So by acting on bone, acting on kidney and acting on gut, these three increases the blood calcium level. If you see these three things, bone, kidney and gut, in bone and gut, phosphate level increases. When the hormone acts on bone and the gut, along with the calcium, phosphate also, the amount of reabsorption of calcium with the phosphate is more, whereas in kidney there is no absorption of phosphate. It doesn't reabsorb phosphate from kidney. It's very important. So when this Parath hormone acts upon this bone, kidney and gut, the difference is that in the bone and the gut, the phosphate is also reabsorbed. Phosphate level also increases in blood with the calcium, whereas in the kidney it doesn't absorb phosphate. So phosphate level does not increase in the calcium in the blood level when this hormone acts on the kidney. This is very important. So these three things you should know. How this Parath hormone acts as the hypercalcemic hormone. Right. Then, if you take the blood calcium level, it ranges between 9 mg to 10 mg per 100 ml of blood. So it's a very narrow range. So 9 mg to 10 mg per 100 ml of blood. 9 mg to 10 mg calcium per 100 ml of blood is the normal calcium amount. It's a very narrow range between 9 and 10. If this calcium level falls below 9 mg, that means hypocalcemia. Calcium level decreases in blood, that is called hypocalcemia. That leads to neuroexcitability, and then this leads to the disease tetany. Whereas if the calcium level increases more than 10 mg, that is called hypercalcemia. Hypercalcemia, that leads to heart attack. So this calcium level has to be maintained within this narrow range between 9 mg to 10 mg. If this calcium level falls below 9 mg, this is hypocalcemia. If it is more than 10 mg, it is hypercalcemia. So now next stage, how this homeostasis of calcium in blood is maintained. How the blood calcium level is maintained in our blood. The way of homeostasis of calcium. So I told you this Parath hormone is a hypercalcemic hormone, whereas another hormone secreted by the parafollicular cells or C cells of the thyroid gland, thyrocalcitonin, is a hypercalcemic hormone. It lowers the calcium level. Hypocalcemic hormone, this lowers the calcium level in blood. So you should know the homeostasis. The Parath hormone is hypercalcemic hormone secreted by the parathyroid glands, whereas the thyrocalcitonin is a hypocalcemic hormone secreted by the parafollicular cells of the thyroid, by which the homeostasis of calcium is maintained. So the Parath hormone increases the calcium level secreted by the parathyroid, whereas the thyrocalcitonin secreted by thyroid gland, the parafollicular cells of the thyroid gland, decreases the calcium level. So Parath hormone acts as the hypercalcemic hormone, thyrocalcitonin acts as the hypocalcemic hormone, by which the homeostasis or balance of calcium is maintained in our blood. Then I told you the hormone is very important for calcium. This maintains the calcium level in our blood. Now let us come to the importance of the calcium. What are all the ways in which the calcium is needed for our blood? One, in muscle contraction. Muscle contraction needs calcium involvement. Number two, blood coagulation. You know the process of coagulation, calcium is involved. Number three, nerve impulse. In synaptic transmission between two axons, terminals, synaptic impulse, calcium is needed. Calcium ions are needed. To activate the oocytes, calcium ion is needed. And then for strong bones and teeth, for the formation of strong bones and teeth, calcium is needed. Another thing, regulation of heartbeat, calcium is needed. And then for fluid balance within the cell, intracellular fluid mechanism, for that calcium is very important. So this calcium plays a very important role in our body, in muscle contraction, blood coagulation, nerve impulse, oocyte activation, strong bones and teeth, regulation of heartbeat, intracellular fluid balance. For everything the calcium is needed. That is maintained by this hormone, Parath hormone, and the thyrocalcitonin. Then what are the disorders of the parathyroid gland? So I told you the secretion is less. This is hypothyroidism, hypoparathyroidism. The secretion is more. The PTH Parath hormone is more. That is called as the hyperparathyroidism. Now let us take up one by one. Hypoparathyroidism is the lowering of calcium level. I told you that leads to the disease tetany. So what are the indications of the disease tetany? Low blood calcium level, and then reduced urinary secretion of calcium and potassium. In the urine, the excretion of calcium and potassium level is low, and then neuromuscular hyperexcitability. So hyperexcitability of the nerve tendons, nerves, and then spasm of muscles and cramps, muscle spasm and muscle cramps, and then rise in phosphate level. In this tetany, the people suffering from the disease tetany will be having more of phosphate in the blood. That is called as the hyperphosphatemia. Hyperphosphatemia. So the tetany goes along with the hyperphosphatemia. That is the more of phosphate in the blood. If the calcium level increases, that is called hyperparathyroidism, or if the Parath hormone level increases, the calcium level increases, so it is called as the hyperparathyroidism. This leads to the disease osteoporosis, the weakening of bones, osteoporosis. Osteoporosis happens by two means. One, demineralization of bones. I told you, if the hormone is more, calcium amount will be more. So how the demineralization of the bones and then protein matrix of the bone is reabsorbed. So hyperparathyroidism leads to osteoporosis. So normally the parath hormone regulates the calcium level. If it is high, what happens? The calcium level will also be increased. That leads to the disease osteoporosis. That is by the mechanism of demineralization of bones, and then protein matrix of the bone is reabsorbed, by which the calcium level increases in the blood. And then formation of bone cyst. Bone cyst is formed in this osteoporosis disease, and this calcification is very important along all the path, calcification of kidney, artery, stomach and lungs. So more of calcium, so when the blood contains more of calcium and it goes all through the body, the calcification of the kidney, the arteries and then stomach, lungs, everything happens. So the calcification of the organs takes place. So this is about the hypoparathyroidism and hyperparathyroidism. So if you take the summary of the parathyroidism, there are three types of parathyroidism: primary, secondary and tertiary. So primary parathyroidism is due to the tumor in the parathyroid gland. Due to the tumor in the parathyroid gland, primary parathyroidism occurs, wherein the parath hormone increases. The level of parath hormone increases. Naturally, calcium level also increases. That will lead to the hyperparathyroidism. The treatment will be surgery, removal of some of the parathyroid gland parts. Number two, secondary parathyroidism. This is common. This is due to vitamin D deficiency. So vitamin D is formed in our skin by the pigment ergosterol from the sunlight. If the vitamin D is deficient, the secondary parathyroidism occurs. And another reason, chronic kidney disease. If one person is having a long way kidney disease, this will also lead to the parathyroidism. So vitamin D deficiency is the main cause of parathyroidism. And number two, chronic kidney disease. Here also the PTH increases. Calcium level here decreases or in the same level. Calcium level doesn't go up. What is the treatment? Naturally just opposite. This is here reason vitamin D deficiency. Here the vitamin D deficiency has to be removed by taking the vitamin D food and the tablets. And number two, kidney transplant. If it is more pathetic, it is more chronic, kidney has to be transplanted. Number three, tertiary parathyroidism. That is due to hyperplasia. So after secondary parathyroidism, hyperplasia may occur. What is hyperplasia? That is the multiplication of cells and enlargement of the organ or enlargement of the parathyroid gland. That is the initial stage for cancer. Right? Hyperplasia. This also will lead to the increase of parath hormone and increase of calcium level, and the remedy is surgery. So these are all the three types of parathyroidism: primary, secondary and tertiary. Secondary is more common, that is due to this parathyroidism, that is due to this vitamin D deficiency and chronic kidney disease. This parathyroidism occurs. That is the two mainly due to vitamin D deficiency. So vitamin D is synthesized in our body by a pigment in our body in skin, ergosterol, and then from the sunlight, right? So vitamin D deficiency leads to parathyroidism, that you must know. So these are all the things about the parathyroid gland. So we have seen the hormone, parath hormone, hypercalcemic hormone, and then the normal blood calcium level, how this calcium level is maintained, homeostasis of calcium, by due to this parath hormone and the thyrocalcitonin. Parath hormone is a hypercalcemic hormone. Thyrocalcitonin is a hypocalcemic hormone, by which the calcium level, the level of calcium homeostasis is maintained in our body. And then we have seen the calcium. I told you this parathyroid gland is important for maintaining the calcium. What is the importance of calcium in our body, we have seen. And then the disorders, hypoparathyroidism, tetany, hyperparathyroidism, this is osteoporosis. And finally, we have seen the summary of parathyroidism, 3 types of primary, secondary and tertiary parathyroidism. So these are all about, this is also another area where you get many questions in the NEET examination. So it is a higher level of question, the summary of parathyroidism, the cause, vitamin D, chronic kidney disease. Primary is due to tumor. Secondary is due to the vitamin D deficiency and chronic disease. And tertiary, because of this secondary, hyperplasia will occur. So these things you must know. The normal blood calcium level, you must know 9 mg to 10 mg, very narrow range. And then the homeostasis, how blood calcium level is maintained. These 2 hormones will be asked in the NEET examination. The hormones responsible for the homeostasis of blood, A, B, C, D. In any one of this, they will be given thyrocalcitonin and parath hormone. That is the right answer. So write that hypoparathyroidism and hyperparathyroidism. What are the diseases we have seen? And then how this parath hormone acts on bone, kidney and gut. It's very, very important. How the calcium level is increased by the action of parath hormone on bone, kidney and gut. In these 3, bone and gut phosphate level also increases with the calcium, whereas in kidney, when the action of parath hormone is on kidney, no increase in phosphate level. This you must know. So these are all about the parathyroid gland. I hope you have understood the hormone, parath hormone and the disorders, etc. nicely. The next video we will pass on to another gland, adrenal gland. Till then, thank you very much.